Hello and welcome to Cheshire Audio. Now, first things, I've just realised I've forgotten my cup of tea, so we're going to have to see how this goes. Anyway, yeah, what we've got, this is a review. I've got the 2-box Atoll, which you will have briefly seen in the previous video, because it was actually running in the downstairs for ages, actually, because it's a brand new DAC, but it's Atoll's own sort of demonstrator transport. So yeah, we've got a DR200 transport, which is the bottom bit. Yes, I know they're both different colours, and yes, I know they're stacked on top of each other, but that's as far as my cable goes, so I had to do it like that. Yeah, a DR200 transport and the DAC300. So model-wise, I'm not confused is the wrong word. The 200 is the only one that's listed on the Atoll's UK price list. I believe that there's a 100 and there's a 400, which has come from customers actually, because interestingly, since this was sort of briefly glimpsed in the last video, I've had more inquiries about what do I think of this and when you're doing the video on it and everything than anything else I've ever done, really. So, which is it's interesting actually. It's interesting the way sort of people's interests go, really. I think possibly because it's a separate DAC. Now that is something I won't say it concerns me. I think basically I'm a bit of a bit of an old duffer who doesn't like new technology, and I think there's a little bit of we've been here before and we decided it wasn't the best way to do it. But thinking it through, what I'm getting at here is in the early days of CD, basically CD came out, integrated player, and within you buy yourself a CD player, and within 6 months the DAC technology had moved so far on that your player was way behind. And it was, things were moving really, really fast in the early days. And in fact, it was so much so that the whole industry of companies making off-board DACs, that was really big business for a while. And there's loads of them. There was Deltec doing a little DPA DAC, the little bit and all that sort of thing. Arcam got into it with the black box. There was Meridian with the 203 and various other, I can't think what the other ones were, but they had lots of off-board DACs. Even some of the budget companies like QED, which I think theirs was, I get confused. There was QED and there was Audio Alchemy, who both had really budget DACs. And one was called DAC Magic and the other was called, and I've forgotten what it's called now. Somebody was talking about it on the phone the other day. But yeah, there was basically lots of little budget ones, and there was, quite high-end stuff as well. And it was great because you could upgrade. I mean, there was a tendency for people to think, well, the transport doesn't matter. The bit that actually reads it off in the first place, it's just ones and zeros. It doesn't really matter. Later on, we started to realise that actually the front end was pretty important as well, if not as important. So that was where we were. You bought your player and you'd upgrade it by getting a better DAC. But then the DAC technology kind of slowed down in its advancement. It got to the point where they sort of took it as far as it could go, really, I think. Certainly for 2-channel analog, 44 kilohertz, whatever. And it got to a certain point. And then we had sort of conversations from people like Name Audio saying, well, actually, if you put the DAC in the box with the transport and have the distances between everything really, really short, the advantages are massive. So we're not going to have a separate DAC. We're going to have everything in the same box, and everybody kind of followed suit with that. So the 2-box thing kind of died out. I mean, there was the odd company who still went down that route, but it became quite rare, to the point of if I have a customer who's got an old Arcam, what was it, Delta? What was it? 170 transport, a 170 with a black box. And the black box has died, or if the transport. Sorry, I'm getting myself back to front. If the transport's died and they need a new front end for it, there's nothing out. There was nothing out there until now. So I think what's happening now is I think the streaming side of it has sort of opened the question of DACs, and there's been quite a bit of an advancement, obviously because we've got the 192 and all this, the higher res stuff basically, which I don't get involved. And I think that's why we've had this sort of acceleration again with DACs. Now, whether or not for straight CD it's relevant anymore, I don't know, actually. On the flip side of that, this is brilliant. And I know I say that about all the Atoll stuff, but this is substantially, I would say, better than the CD200 integrated player. It's got a lot more sort of life in the music, and it's more open. And the thing I notice with Atoll, every time when you go up the range, it's like the texturing voices, the texturing strings, sounding instruments and that sort of thing. The way it picks things out and puts it in its own space. I don't know that many digital products that kind of do that in the same way somehow. Whether this is as good or not as good as the 400, I don't know. I don't think it is. I think the 400 is still worth the extra money, because the 400 is a £5,500 player. This combination is about 4.1. I'm pretty sure that from what I remember, that this is good, but I don't think it's that good. So I think price for price, it's kind of where it should be, really. So it looks like we're not getting any necessary degradation for it being a 2-box. And the price, because price for price, it kind of fits where it's supposed to. The benefit of this is, I suppose, in this sort of digital world now, the specification of this DAC is massive. It's just got so many inputs on it, so many whatever. It's got Bluetooth. I know, yeah, Bluetooth, but it's a thing that, you know, if you've got a decent system in the family and the kids want to use it, Bluetooth off the phones, there you go. It's one of the, it's sort of we don't like it, but it's there sort of thing. We've got, what have we got? I'll show you on the back in a minute. In fact, I'll probably do that. What I should do is do that now, and then you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, yeah, so back panel. There's a DAC at the top here. We've got, output-wise, we've got RCA and we've got XLR balanced, which is really good. You don't really tend to see many people in the UK using balanced. It's a bit of a thing you see in the States more, really. A lot of the big crowds at Levingtons used to have XLR, but it's not. I'm not convinced by it personally. I know that's probably a controversial thing to say, but I feel as though you get more detail off balanced, but it kind of sucks the life out of things sometimes. I don't know what it is about it. It's a bit of a, whether or not it might come down to whether things have been designed properly to work with balance. I mean, it might be more to do with that, really. Digital out, got some reason. Digital out, we've got coax and an optical, and then we've got a big bank of inputs here. So we've got 3 lots of optical, 3 lots of coax, AES, EBU, and also on the back of the player there we've got input output on the back of that, USB. So it's really well spec'd. So I mean, if you got your system, you've got your CD player transport, you've got your what else would you use? Your streamer. You could put your TV optical into this, and so use it as a sort of system hub, really. So it's very, very flexible in that respect. So have a look at the front. Okay, front panel. Obviously available in black and silver, and we have both here, just for your enjoyment. The black's quite a soft touch, actually. It's quite nice. Really well constructed, these things. And the nice sort of sweep of which I think shows better in the silver than the black, actually. Got sort of a sculpted line, which I really like. Switching on, there's like a master on-off switch on the back on both. So I didn't show you that, but click and click, which brings you into standby mode. The DAC does a little run through telling you what it is, just in case you didn't know. To switch on the transport, they're different to each other. This is over there, and the DAC is up here. So we're on. Interesting. Just talking about the DAC for a second. This is actually usable as a preamp as well. If you switch it off, I mean, you have to go through this procedure, partly because if you're using this direct into a power amp, which people may do, you do not want to be able to switch it out of being a preamp, or bypassing volume controls when it's working that way, because you'd end up with full level going into your power amp, and that's not something you really want. But basically, if you hold down the right hand button, eventually it switches the bypass on, or do it the other way, it can switch it back off again. So we're actually working as a preamp now. So if we switch on, we're in coax 1 input, and then you can flip between all your different inputs, Bluetooth, whatever. Back to coax 1, and your volume control is on that side. If you bypass it, this doesn't do anything when you turn it, so it's completely out of circuit. You've also got things like your filtering. You can go through all these different filters. It's interesting, really. It's not it's something that you do see, but it's not totally that common. Display changes. So there's various stuff going on with it. It's And like I said, I am a bit of a technophobe, so stuff like that, I can appreciate why people would want it, but I don't really use any other than CD. I don't really use any digital products, so it kind of lost on me a little bit. But anyway, the main test with these things is what they sound like, and really, it's a wonderful sounding player. It really is. The thing that sort of makes me wonder, it's a shame I haven't been able to try this, because the CD200, I'm guessing, is very, very, very closely related to the DR200. Whether it's just had the DAC taken out and that's all, or whether or not, I don't know. What I was interested in trying was trying this DAC on a CD200. I haven't been able to, because my CD200 is actually out on loan at the moment, and this is only here for a short time, so I'm not going to get a chance to try it and just compare the transport to the player. I suspect there may not be that much in it. I don't know. I mean, there's the advantage of the power supplies in the transport just working with the transport. I'm not sure. I mean, it's going to make it better, but how much better is a good question. I don't know. But yeah, that's something for the future. But yeah, so operationally, this is, if you've watched the video on the CD200, it's exactly the same the way it works. You've got track select, drawer open, play, pause, stop, on and off, and then a quite comprehensive remote, which, as you know, I never get them out. But yeah, that's it. That's the 2-box Atoll. Yeah, so like I say, whether that's as good as the 400, I don't think it is. I remember being completely bowled over by the 400. It's such a good player. That has got a lot of the characteristics of it. It's got this sort of placement of imagery and stuff like that the big one has, and it is better than the 200 integrated player by quite a bit. I think it just seems to it has the same character, but just seems to step everything out. Like I say, shame I couldn't just try that DAC on a 200 integrated just to try it, but yeah, it just didn't pan out like that really. But we'll see. I'm sure customers of mine will be trying this as well, because a few conversations have been going on about this. So anyway, I'm going to stop it there. I'm hoping to do another video tomorrow. I know I always say these things, it doesn't happen. Tomorrow's looking quite quiet, so I'm hoping, because I wanted to do an update on the Kiss Research project, and there's a couple of other things I want to talk about actually, which are sort of interesting. But I was going to leaving this just purely for the review. So anyway, let's leave it here. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to give a subscribe and a like. I should have a little sign to put up for that, shouldn't I? See you in a future video. Thank you.